Hannah 10 Bensel here with Develop Her. I am a certified blockchain developer and certified cryptocurrency auditor, and I'm here to teach you things that you might not otherwise learn somewhere else. And if you would, they're taught by a woman who's a little funny and still has a cold. So we're here on video number 2, going over basics of JavaScript, or basic syntax, basic everything. We're not coding anything. This is just to teach you about stuff. I did, in the short time that we were apart, find an online resource that actually had a lot of this stuff laid out, so you didn't have to listen to me think on the spot about what to tell you about these things. So I am going to go over this video pretty quickly because this, again, will be in the description. I will have this in my GitHub. And again, you don't have to download anything. We are working today in Virtual Studio Code, but there's plenty of online resources. GitHub is free and open, and it's open source. So I will link all of my information and stuff online in this description. This will all be in the description, but I want to go through some of these more, I wouldn't say complex, but they're a little bit more niche concepts than the aforementioned ones, because I don't usually use these at all anymore because I work basically with Rust and Solidity. So these, we can go into more in depth on like a JavaScript project if you guys want. Just comment below if that's something you're interested in, and I can, we can make easy projects, more complex projects. But for the meantime, I'm going to power through this list of things within JavaScript. And if you guys have questions, again, feel free to drop a comment and I'll do my best to get back to you on all of them. But let's pick up where we left off, shall we? Let's start with meta characters. A meta character is a character that has a special meaning to a computer program. Like, for example, meta characters, they're different within Linux, they're different in Python, but it's basically a sequence of characters with special meaning, and it might be used to represent another set of characters, or an unprintable character, or a logical operation. But you were going to find those here. And I also want you guys to look and pay attention. A lowercase w and an uppercase w mean the positive or the negative, or the existence of one thing and not the existence of another for these. So like \w is a word character. \uppercase w is a non-word character. That is important. And like I mentioned in the last video, it just pay attention to what is uppercase and what's lowercase. And like you see here, 3 X's or a U in front of 3 X's, a Unicode character specified by hexadecimal number. Easy to slip up. Am I wrong? So I just want, sorry. I think that's just important to note. So let's scoot down here to quantifiers. Quantifiers they just indicate numbers of characters or expressions to match. So for the example, I did N because that's the second and third letter of my name. So it'd be like N plus match any string that contains at least one N. Okay. And it kind of goes down the list that way. I mean, you basically just use them as a matching scenario. I don't use these also as much anymore, but other people do. And let's see. So we have next number properties. Also, I would like to say I'm still kind of keeping that same format of this is how you would write it and this is what it means, just so you know. So this is the whole thing. Just write these things are on this side of the dash. So next we're going to get into like the numbers and math of JavaScript. You can work with numbers and constants in JavaScript and perform mathematical functions. It's actually pretty easy, and it's straightforward for the most part, like minimum value, max value, not a number value, negative infinity, positive infinity. Those are, I mean, they're laid out pretty cut and dry. These would be number properties. These would be number methods. Then we would kind of go, and I think these are math properties and these are math methods. Yeah, these are math methods because we have like cosine, all of those fun things. Something, if you're like writing stuff with websites, this will probably come in handy more often than not. You can work with dates and modify dates. So, date settings would be like a date creates a new date object. And you could write something in it like a custom date object. You could do a date declaration as a string. Then you can have something like a pull date and time values like get date, get day, get full year. That just, essentially gets the day or the specific time or universal time for whatever is needed. Set part of the date. So you could like set a year. You could set the minutes. You could set the seconds. Like a universal time situation. You could set that. We could talk about the DOM model. Basically, DOM is the document object model of a page. It's the code of like the structure of a web page. And Java comes with like a lot of different ways to create and manipulate elements called nodes. And I could go into a little bit more detail, but I do want to kind of go into node properties, attributes, base URI, child nodes. We can talk until like about the parent and child nodes, which is literally what it sounds like. You have like one that's up top and then it branches underneath it are the children. So parent, children. So like, I don't have my whiteboard, but imagine, this whole application is the parent and these are the children. This is what's within the application. So kind of that basic concept of node properties. And then we have node methods here. This just like adds to what is up here. So like has child nodes, returns true if an element has a child node. Excuse me. And then we have element methods. This would be, like you're getting attributes, removing attributes, all of that sort of stuff. I don't use these a ton anymore, again, because I use these a lot when I work with like websites and website development and all of that good stuff, but I don't do that a ton anymore. And like, if you guys want, I can do like write down the Java codes for web elements, like, screen properties, like available height, available width, color depth, scroll to, move to. We could do that. And if you guys want, again, go ahead and comment it. If not, we can go on to events. And this also comes in handy for websites. These would be like mouse events. So like when you click, when you leave, when you hover. I actually don't know if I have hover on there. This would be keyboard events. This would be like frame events. I don't think I did the form events, but these are like for when you drag, like when a user element is dragged, when a dragged element enters a drop area. So like if I dragged a document up here and it said drop your file here, that would be a drag and drop element. And then obviously we have clipboard, because who doesn't love clipboard, copying to clipboard and pasting it wherever the heck you want? Who doesn't love it? And I didn't put this in here, but there's like media events. There's like being able to load on start, load on play. If anyone remembers Tumblr and MySpace, the songs that would start playing, my friend. You can also do like a CSS animation event, which would be like an animation end, animation start. Some people do that with websites to have like something start playing, like a video or an animated video. Something else that is also not on here would be like a transition or an on message, an offline, like a browser can work offline. updating web storage, all of that sort of stuff. But again, that's more, I mean, this is more on the web development, web page development. And again, that's not my specialty, or it's not anymore. And then we also have, last but not least, we have errors. I didn't put in error names, but essentially when you're working with JavaScript, there different errors can happen, and there's several ways of handling them. Try lets you define a block of code and test for errors. Catch lets you set up a block of code to execute in case of an error, which is chef's kiss. Throw creates a custom error message instead of the standard JavaScript errors, which, by the way, comes in super handy if you ever have people who don't know anything about computers. And let me tell you, I worked at a place where my manager of a tech department of a Fortune 500 company did not know how to code. This comes in so handy because you can be like, hey, in the error message, be like, hey, this isn't right, and this is where the error is. And then she can tell me, she's like, hey, this is what the error is giving me. I'm like, ah, perfect. I know exactly where that's like what the problem is. But as an aside from this, you can have like error name values. So like the name, the set of returns for a name error message that returns an error message in a string from, or an eval error, which basically an error has occurred from the eval function. Syntax error, which is a syntax error, literally, because we talked about it up here, what a syntax is. Because I know a lot of people, I heard this in one of my groups. People remember on the calculators in school, and you probably are using one of these, one of the TI-84 or TI whatever graphing calculators. The syntax error, and everyone's like, I mean, why does it say that? It's literally telling you that there's an error with the syntax of what was input. So like the literal information that was input. It's like, I don't understand. I just can't. And that would, those would be different type of error values or an error property that could be, turned into different ways. And again, I can do a whole video on that if you want. I just wanted to make this video shorter than my last one, so you guys can just kind of get more of the basics that will not necessarily apply to our smart contracts, but are just good to know and are good to have in the back of your mind, and also good to have this in just kind of like a cheat sheet form, because it's when you're working with Java, sometimes, or if you're like me and you work with like, it feels like 5,000 different coding languages, you're going to be in this situation where you're like, I cannot remember what this would be. And you're just like sitting there staring at this computer like, what is this? Also, my dog is going a little wild. He's found a toy and is running around. But, and I don't know if you guys can hear it. Anyway, thank you guys for letting me keep this casual and fun and relaxed, because there's no point in making this stuffy. There's so many technical things here, and once you get the hang of them all, I mean, it becomes fun and casual and, almost like second nature when you're able to just write it out. And that's kind of why I liked, going into this coding realm as much as I have, because it's like you learn another language, you can just kind of write in it and do whatever you want, and then you can kind of figure out where you want to go from there, and almost use it as like a way to travel, but travel within your computer to do things. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I, again, will have this available for you in my GitHub, and all the resources will be down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.